Hello, my name is Karen Barbito. I am the Healing Support Specialist at Support After Abortion, and I have two colleagues with me today. Let's start with you, Niles.
Hey, I'm Niles Pinkney, the men's healing coordinator at Support After Abortion.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stacy Gametter, and I serve as the Impact Development Specialist with Support After Abortion. I have the joy of connecting with new people, whether donors or providers, and building meaningful relationships along the way. I also manage our e-store and have the privilege of supporting clients through our helpline as they seek hope and healing.
Today we are going to be doing role plays. These role plays are one of my favorite types of trainings. First, we will role play the wrong way to navigate a support group, followed by the right way. Just so you know up front, we will be exaggerating the wrong way. We are doing this specifically to make a point, which we will discuss later. Please know we would never talk to someone in this way. The title for this facilitator training is Reaching the Reluctant, supporting participants who aren't engaged. So without further delay, are y'all ready to get started?
Of course.
Let's go.
All right, now's you're up.
So today, just like Karen mentioned, we will begin with the wrong way and then make the correction. And also remember that, like Karen said, that we do not speak to each other in this manner at all. We do not handle anything like this, and we do not teach this at Support After Abortion. So please keep that in mind. So our first scenario is what to do as a facilitator if a client is on their phone during group. And like I mentioned, we'll be doing the wrong way first. I will be the facilitator, Karen will be a participant, and Stacy will be the other participant. We're going to have a little fun with this today. So when we begin our role plays, we're going to start with action or and end it with scene or cut or whatever's like that. So just to have a little fun with it, that's to keep in mind for you as well to know when we're finishing and beginning scenes. All right, ready? Action. Okay, let's pause just for a second. I'm noticing someone on their phone. And I want to remind everyone that this is a safe and confidential space, and being fully present really matters here.
Oh, sorry, I just.
Hold on. We went over group expectations in the beginning. Phones can be distracting, not just for you, but for everyone else who's trying to share.
I don't think you should call people out like that. It's rude, and I don't want to continue in this group if this is normal.
Wasn't trying to distract anyone. Were any of you distracted by me looking at my phone? I think this is way more distracting. What do you all think?
Yeah.
Listen, we're not going there. This has gotten out of control, and I don't appreciate it. I understand you weren't trying to distract anyone, but part of healing is leaning in, even when it's uncomfortable. That includes paying attention. If we start checking out when things get hard, it limits what we can do in this space. So, let's all recommit to staying present, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Whatever you say.
All right. Who would like to share next? And scene. So, like I mentioned, I would never talk to Stacy or Karen in this manner, and I hope they would never let me do that as well. Or we don't have providers talking to clients in that way. So that was the wrong way. We just want to reiterate that for everyone to make sure you know that is the wrong way. So now we're going to be doing the same scenario, same roles, but this time you're going to see the difference. This will be the right way. So, ready? Action. I want to pause us just for a moment. Sometimes in groups, things come up that feel heavy or overwhelming. If anyone needs to step out, take a breath, or ground themselves, that's okay. You're in charge of your pace here.
Thank you for sharing that. It's very helpful to hear.
I want to invite all of you to do a breathing exercise. Let's take a slow breath together and then continue. Breathe in through your nose and out through pressed lips. Breathe in for 4 seconds, breathe out for 6 seconds. Let's do that right now together. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you for doing that with me. If you ever get anxious, this is a great calming technique. Great session, everyone. We'll see you next week. This is me approaching Karen after the group. Hey, Karen, do you have a minute now that group is over?
Sure.
I noticed you were on your phone earlier, and I just wanted to check in. Was something coming up for you?
Yeah, I didn't realize how intense it would feel. Scrolling kind of helped me stay here.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for telling me that. Your system was trying to take care of you, and I'm really glad you stayed. If that happens again, you're welcome to step out, ground yourself, or even let me know what you need at that moment. We want this to feel as safe as possible for you.
I appreciate that.
Of course, you're doing good work by listening to yourself.
So now we're going to debrief the role play scenario that we just discussed. We'll start with the wrong way first. Stacy, let me come to you. As a participant, how did the wrong way make you feel?
Honestly, the whole situation made me really uncomfortable. The way Niall spoke didn't feel compassionate or aware of what you might have been carrying emotionally in that moment, and at times it felt pretty condescending. Watching it made me pause and wonder if the space was actually being held in a way that felt safe and supportive. Feeling respected and emotionally safe in a group matters so much. And in that moment, it really left me feeling angry at Niles and really heartbroken for you.
Thank you, Stacy. And Niles, what was it like for you as the facilitator addressing the behavior in the group?
Thank you, Karen. For me, as a facilitator, when it was the wrong way, it felt like I was being very blunt and came across as judging. And this is the opposite of what the group is meant to be. In that moment, I wasn't creating safety or comfort for you or Stacy. And that's what participants need in order to grow, and for me as the facilitator to allow me to walk with them through their healing journey. It also felt wrong for me personally to show up that way. That's not who I am in this work, and it didn't align with how I want to hold space or walk with people. I could feel that disconnect in the room as it was happening. What I really took away is that I lost the room. I felt the shift, and once that safety was gone, it was hard to recover in that moment.
Wow. Thanks, Niles. That was great feedback. I love how you said you lost the room and that you felt the shift. As facilitators, we will most certainly experience moments when we feel something is off. Trust that feeling. Debrief with somebody after your group to get to the bottom of what might have happened. If it was something you said or did, own it at the next group. If it was a participant, follow up with a conversation. Now, for me, as a participant, as the person that was on their phone, it made me feel embarrassed, like I was being reprimanded. I shut down, and the space didn't feel safe for me to be vulnerable anymore, and I felt judged. I thought the facilitator just wanted to be right and the boss, when in reality, he created more chaos than I did by looking at my phone. He didn't even bother to ask me what was going on with me at the moment. Maybe I just got a text that my child got hurt at school, or that the test results came back from my scan that showed an issue. As a facilitator, assumptions and expectations are killer. Okay, so now the same questions for the right way role play. All right, Stacey, we're going to start with you again. As a participant, how did the right way make you feel?
Well, the right way definitely made me feel better than the wrong way. And I much rather stay in this group than the last one or the wrong one. I really appreciated how Niles acknowledged that things can feel heavy sometimes and reminded us it's okay to step away if we need to. That really helped me relax a bit, and the breathing exercise really helped me reset. I also appreciated that he talked with you after class instead of calling you out in front of everyone. He was patient and encouraging, and it helped me feel safer and more supported.
Thank you, Stacey. And Niles, how about you? What was it like for you as the facilitator to handle the situation in the right way?
Like Stacy said, it was the complete opposite of what
Yeah,
everything
it
was
was.
before.
It was.
This approach felt more inviting and non-confrontational. It communicated to the participant that I don't automatically see being on their phone as a distraction, but rather as a subtle cue that something may be coming up for them. And personally, this felt very different from the earlier approach. like I mentioned, because it felt more aligned with who I am as a facilitator and how I want to show up in any room that I'm in. There was more ease in my body, and I could feel the connection stay intact rather than tighten up or shut down. And as a facilitator, it also signaled a possible need for a conversation outside the group rather than a correction in that moment. It showed me that rapport and trust were forming, and that the participant felt safe enough to remain engaged, share at their own pace, and continue in the group with confidence. How about you, Karen? As a person looking at their phone, how the right way make you feel?
Thanks, Niles. Um, in the right way role play, Niles validated feelings. He was calm, not pushy, but honest and encouraging. He explained that the benefit of fully participating will produce greater results for the participants. He also caught up with me after the group, so I wasn't called out embarrassed in front of the others. I really appreciated that. Now, let me just take a moment before we move on to the second role play scenario. I want to mention that we have intentionally exaggerated the wrong way to make a point. I told you we were going to come back to this earlier on. I trust that none of us would ever actually confront a participant in this way. But I have experienced myself times when I've said something that I knew right away was not the right thing to say. When that happens for me, I address it right away with something like, wow, that didn't come out the right way. I'm so sorry that I said that. Please forgive me. Would anyone like to comment on what just happened or share how that made you feel? There may be situations that arise during a group that may feel uncomfortable for you as a facilitator, and we want to point out later on some healthy, non-confrontational approaches for you to use. Okay, I have a question that I'd like to pose. Niles, I'm going to come to you with this, okay?
Of course.
How do you handle it if the same participant repeatedly impacts the group experience in a negative way?
Oh, that's a great question. When one participant repeatedly impacts the group, I think I try to handle both the individual and the group with care. I look for the patterns, then address it one-on-one outside the group first, helping me to name what I'm seeing with curiosity and reconnecting them to the group's purpose and agreements. If it continues, I'll just have to gently reset the group as a whole without shaming anyone. And if needed, I'm clear that boundaries are part of care. Sometimes that means offering additional support outside of the group or helping someone step back if the group isn't the right setting for them at this moment.
Thanks, Niles. That was great. Now we'll move on to role play number two. The title of this role play is If Someone Isn't Doing the Assigned Homework. I'll be the facilitator, Stacy will be the participant, Niles will be the other participant, and we're going to start with the wrong way. And action. The group has just settled in. The facilitator begins by checking in about the homework assigned during the previous week. All right, let's start by talking about the homework from last week. I asked everyone to complete the reflection and bring it with you. This exercise is an important part of the process. Who'd like to
Um,
start?
um, I didn't get to it.
Okay. Can you share what got in the way?
It was just a lot this week.
Hey, I understand life gets busy, but this work really only helps if you're willing to fully participate. The homework is part of the process. We've seen over the years that the people who do the homework usually get the most out of the group.
I wanted to do it, I just couldn't.
Well, Stacy, what happened that you couldn't do your homework?
It was just a lot. This week has been incredibly hard for me. It marked 1 year since my abortion, and the weight of that has been so overwhelming. I tried several times to do the homework, but I just couldn't bring myself to go there and do it. There's so much pain still, and I keep finding myself shutting down just to get through the day.
Hey, listen, sometimes we have to push past our comfort zones. Healing takes effort. If you avoid the work, you may stay stuck. And showing up, doing the homework, and sharing openly and honestly is required to participate.
It was only once, Karen. I don't think you should be that hard on her.
Niles, I appreciate your concern, but accountability matters here. What do you think it feels like for those that are doing their homework, coming to the group prepared, and are pushing through the emotions of it all, just to have others not do their work at all?
Hear what you're saying, but that feels unfair for you to put on me as a facilitator. Everyone processes differently, and not everyone can show up the same way every week. Just because someone didn't do the homework doesn't mean they aren't doing work internally. It feels like we're being judged instead of supported by you. And honestly, that makes it harder to want to engage with you at all.
Niles, I appreciate your comments, but this isn't about you. This is about Stacy. So let's hear from someone who did complete the homework. Niles?
At this point, I've got nothing to say to you, Karen.
And scene. And the Academy Award goes to. Listen, I would never, ever speak to anybody like that. Not even somebody that I didn't like particularly. That would never happen. And Stacy is so sweet. I just like beat her up really bad. I'm sorry. Don't take it personally. Okay. Now let's fast forward and do this the right way, okay? Are you guys having fun? I'm having a good time.
I'm having a good time.
Okay,
Not
good.
the last one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So this is the right way if someone isn't doing the assigned homework. Before we move into today's topic, I want to check in about last week. We talked about a reflection exercise. Some of you may have spent time with it, some of you may not have. Either way, you're welcome here. This work isn't about getting something done perfectly. It's about noticing what shows up when we try. Who would like to share how the week went?
Um, I can share, but I didn't do the homework.
You're saying that out loud. That takes courage. Would you be willing to share what happened when you thought about doing it?
Yeah, every time I opened my journal, I felt really overwhelmed. My chest would get tight, and I'd just shut the journal and walk away.
That's really important information. I want to name something here. When your body reacts like that, it's not a failure, it's communication. Does anybody else relate? Yeah, Niles.
Yeah, I noticed my body doing something similar.
Do you want to share a little more about that?
It took me back to my own personal experience, and for me, it wasn't comfortable. I started to remember everything, things I never thought about before.
Thanks for sharing that, Niles. Can I come back to you for a minute, Stacy?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, thanks. Staying away from the homework may have actually been a way your system was trying to protect you.
Yeah, that really makes sense to me.
I'm really glad you listened to that instead of forcing yourself to do the homework. That's self-awareness, and self-awareness is a big part of the healing process. When you noticed the tightness, did anything help even a little?
Sometimes just putting my journal away and taking a walk helps me calm down.
That's what I'm talking about when I reference self-awareness. That counts. For all of us, the goal isn't to push through at all cost. It's to build enough safety to stay present with what comes up. Does that make sense? Hey, Stacy, would it feel more doable this week to simply notice where the urge to avoid shows up without trying to change it?
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Good. That's the work for now. And if at any point it feels like too much, you're allowed to pause.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for your honesty. That helped the group more than a completed worksheet ever could. And scene. Okay, so now we're going to debrief the wrong way and the right way. Let me reiterate that we have intentionally exaggerated the wrong way to make a point. I trust that none of us would ever actually confront a participant in this way, but I've experienced myself times when I have said something that I knew right away was not the right thing to say. There may be situations that arise during a group that may feel uncomfortable for the facilitator. Always debrief with somebody when the group dynamic feels off or if an individual's demeanor or participation shifts. Now, Stacy, as the participant, how did the wrong way make you feel?
I think I need a new facilitator. When I shared that I hadn't finished the homework and being asked about it in front of the group honestly felt really embarrassing. There are a lot of reasons someone might not get an assignment done, and not all of them are easy or even appropriate to share in a group. I appreciated Niles speaking up for me, but when you brushed past that and asked others who had done the homework to share, it made me feel singled out again instead of supported and encouraged, which is what
Thank,
I really needed in that moment.
thank you, Stacy. And Niles, what was it like for you to watch the dialogue between the facilitator and the participant?
Well, from where I was sitting, you as a facilitator came across as very pushy and seemed to misunderstand Stacy. There wasn't a sense of empathy or understanding in the way she spoke. It felt like Stacy was being put on a display as an example for the group, which I don't think was the intention, but that's how it landed. And even though I know this isn't Karen's usual way of being, I know her as someone patient, compassionate, and thoughtful. In that moment, the energy in the room shifted. You can feel the tension, the discomfort, and the way it suddenly closed down space for sharing. It made it harder to feel open or supported as a participant. I could sense Stacy might have felt shut down, unsafe, or judged before anyone even asked what was actually going on with her. And even knowing Karen personally, like I mentioned, that disconnect still landed on me. I felt it in the room, in my body, and in the silence that followed. It reminded me how powerful facilitator presence is, and how even a brief misalignment can ripple through the group.
That's good. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, Niles. I'm just going to give my feedback for the wrong way. For me, as the facilitator, I felt I was being challenged by the participants, and that made me want to take charge even more. I felt disrespected. I did realize that I was being harsh, but I was trying to make a point, and the participants were just making excuses. As a perfectionist, an Enneagram 1, for those of you who are familiar with that, when I'm not healthy, I tend to get critical of others, micromanage, and I'm not easy to please. This was a facilitator issue, not a participant issue. When these behaviors show up, of course, not as extreme as this, but they will show up for the most part, it's time to figure out what's going on with me or you as the facilitator. Now, Niles, I want to go back to your debrief because this was really interesting to me. Even though we all know each other, our style of facilitation during this role play, you both allowed yourself to feel, I want you to hear me, you both allowed yourself to feel in a way that made your brain come along for the ride. Let me explain that. That's pretty profound, y'all. You intellectually knew we were playing roles. However, your body, your feelings, and your thoughts were counter to what you knew to be true. That's fascinating, right? I appreciate you putting yourself into that role and really allowing yourself to experience what potentially could happen in one of the groups that we're facilitating and how the participants respond. That's the point of these exaggerated wrong way role plays. For those of you watching this video, do you ever have those moments when you know that something just changed? In a word, in a reaction. I call them head cock moments, like when my head goes like that. When all of a sudden my head tilts to the side, like I heard something, or I had a thought that I wasn't expecting to come into my head, or maybe something that I've never thought of before. I encourage you as facilitators to become aware of these moments and develop a strategy to smooth them out in a way that creates safety, trust, reconnection, and growth. Okay, the same question is the right way. Stacy, as a participant, how did the right way make you feel in this role play?
I really appreciated how you started the meeting by checking in and saying it was okay if some of us did the exercise and some didn't. That honestly took a lot of pressure off. I also liked how you reminded us that it's more about noticing what's coming up in our bodies than just getting the task done. The way you talked about it really felt caring, and it really showed that you understood what the process is actually about.
Thank you. Niles, how about you? What was it like for you to watch the dialogue between the facilitator and the participant?
From where I was sitting, like I was just on the side, the approach felt gentle and supportive. Your curiosity about why the homework might have been difficult came across as understanding rather than focusing on why it wasn't done. It communicated to Stacy that care isn't there to push healing on a set timeline, but to walk alongside each participant at the pace they need and deserve. And even as an observer, I could feel the difference in the energy in the room. There wasn't tension or judgment. Instead, there was safety, space, and permission for Stacy to reflect and share in her own way. I could see that this approach reinforced trust and rapport and allowed Stacy to stay engaged rather than shut down. Watching it, I felt the room soften. I could feel Stacy's comfort and confidence grow in that moment. And it reminded me again how powerful a facilitator's presence can be.
Right.
Passionate, patient, and non-judgmental. It made me feel seen as well, even as a participant watching, because I could sense that each person's pace is respected and valued.
Thank you for that, Niles. For me as the facilitator, this made me feel great. The kind of facilitator I want to be. Compassionate, showing grace, understanding, no agenda, no expectations. I felt very present with the participants to the point that I wasn't trying to figure out what I would say while the person was sharing. I want the participant who's sharing to feel like they're the only one in the meeting. That kind of connection. Good facilitation leads to great healing. Okay, so that's the end of the debrief, the wrong way and the right way for scenario number 2. And Stacy, I have a question for you.
All
Okay.
right.
How do you address group resentment when others are doing the work and someone isn't?
That's a really good question. Resentment can show up in different ways: crossed arms, sighing, eye rolling, lack of eye contact, irritability, sarcasm, or even zoning out. When you notice this in a group, it's important to address it gently without calling anyone out. You might acknowledge that in group work, some people naturally lean in while others are quieter or seem less engaged, and that's part of the process. It's helpful to remind the group that everyone is responsible for their own work and moves at their own pace, and that we rarely know the full story of what someone else may be carrying. If one person's lack of engagement is starting to affect the group, that's something the facilitator should handle privately. The ultimate goal is to always protect the group, keeping the space safe, focused, and supportive for everyone. And here's another question. How about if you filled this one, Karen?
Okay.
How do you keep the group cohesive when one person goes deep and another stays surface level?
I know we say it all the time, but that's a really great question, Stacy. I've experienced this before. Some people process differently. Some really dig in, yet find it difficult to express what they're feeling. Others may recognize that something is going on with them, but they don't know what it is. They haven't been able to name it. I feel like as a facilitator, it's our job to help them figure that out for themselves. That being said, I guess again, I'm suggesting that we don't jump to conclusions. Thinking we know what is going on with a participant, that can backfire just like that. I say it often, and I do it often. Remain curious. If I'm noticing some facial expression changes, some body language shifts, or even some anxiety or agitation, I might say something like, "Hey, Stacy, is it okay if I check in with you? I might be wrong, but it looks like to me like you're wrestling with something or have put words in your head to how you feel, or maybe it's something else. Is there something you'd like to share? Only if you're comfortable." If they don't want to share in the group, that's fine. If they don't, I might wrap it up with something like, "Thank you, Stacy, for letting me check in with you." All right. Last role play. Stacy, you're up.
All right, keep going. It's my turn as the facilitator. In this role play, we will focus on when someone is not sharing openly by using one word or surface level answers. Let's start with the wrong way. I'm the facilitator, Niles is the participant, and Karen is the other participant. Action. Okay, let's start by talking about what came up for you as you sat with the reflection this week.
I don't really know. It was fine.
Okay, but when people say fine, there's usually more underneath that. Can you go a little deeper?
I guess I didn't feel much.
Nothing at all? No emotions? No thoughts?
Not really.
Sometimes it takes me a while to find words.
Part of the purpose of this group is learning how to access what's going on inside. Short answers can sometimes mean we're avoiding what's comfortable.
I'm not trying to avoid anything.
Yeah, I think some weeks are just quieter.
Niles, I understand. I'm just encouraging you not to stay on the surface. Healing happens when we're willing to be honest and vulnerable. It's important to identify your emotions and what's underneath them. It's not just acknowledging them, it's working through them. If you had to put a word to it, like sad or angry, guilty, can you give me something?
To get you to leave me alone, I guess I can use maybe sad.
Give him a break already. You've asked him several times. Why are you pushing him? It's humiliating.
Niles, can you go a little further? Sometimes when people can't explain their feelings, it means they haven't spent enough time with them. Niles, did you really sit with the exercise?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're getting the most out of this. Let's hear from someone else who had a deeper experience. Scene. All right, everyone. Let's go with the right way to see if I can be a little kinder to the group. Action. Okay, group. What came up for you as you sat with the reflection this week?
I don't know. It was fine.
Okay. When you say fine, does that feel more neutral or more numb?
Probably numb if I could say.
Okay. Thank you for noticing that and sharing with the group. For each of you, I want to name something important. Numbness isn't the absence of work. It's often a sign that something is being held carefully.
That makes sense.
Karen, thank you so much for your comment, but I'd like to stay with Niles for just a moment if that's okay with you. Okay. Niles, if you can, take a gentle moment to check in with your body. What are you noticing right now?
I guess you could say my jaws feel tight.
Okay, that's good that you noticed that. You don't have to explain it. Sometimes the deepest work looks quiet. Short answers, pauses, even an I don't know are all part of how safety gets built. To everyone in the group, we're not here to force healing. We're here to create a safe space so that healing can arrive in its own time when you're ready. Niles, I'd like to stay with you for just a moment. If it feels okay, would you be willing to stay with the tightness for a breath or two?
Yeah.
Great. This feels like a good moment for us to pause and take a few gentle breaths together. If you're comfortable, you're welcome to breathe along with me using what's called box breathing. We'll inhale through our nose, hold, exhale through our mouth, and hold again. Let's begin. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great job, everyone. And Niles, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing right now.
That helps. Thank you.
And thank you for trusting the process at your own pace. And
And-
scene.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to debrief the wrong way and the right way. We've just completed our third role play. The situation we played out was someone who's not sharing openly or is giving just one word or surface level answers. Stacy, as the facilitator, how did the wrong way make you feel?
Like I shouldn't be facilitating a group to start with. I realized I was listening more so I could respond instead of really listening to understand and empathize with Niles. As I kept pushing him for answers, I could feel not just Niles shutting down, but the whole group too. It created some distrust and took away from the sense of safety I'm supposed to be holding as a facilitator. Looking back, I can also see how I may have come across as judgmental. This really made me pause and reflect. It reminded me how important it is to slow down, stay present, and lead with compassion. Everyone's healing journey looks different, and the facilitator's role is to meet people where they are and support them in that process.
Thank you, Stacy. And Niles, what was it like for you as the participant?
Well, as you probably can realize, I felt she was prying before I was ready, and it felt like the attention was being forced onto me in the group. And I wasn't able to let my few words speak for themselves until I felt ready or capable. That experience ultimately could cause me as a participant more harm than good in my healing process.
Thank you, Niles. And as for me, as secondary participant, it made me feel angry at the facilitator. She kept badgering Niles for an answer. For me, there is no way that I'm even going to share in this group. It was no longer safe. I thought Niles was being very vulnerable with his feelings, and she just wanted him to answer her way. I think she had a response in mind. To me, that's having an agenda. That doesn't give participants permission to heal their own way. Okay, so now the same questions for the right way role play. Stacey, as the facilitator, how did the right way make you feel?
The right way felt less about getting an answer and more about just being present with Niles and staying curious about what he was feeling. It was about creating a safe space where he felt safe enough to be vulnerable, not rushing him or pressuring him to respond. But more than anything, it was about slowing down, paying attention, and inviting him to share whatever felt right for him in that moment.
Thank you, Stacey. And Naz, what about you?
Well, this way felt way more inviting. And like I mentioned, my few words here held more value and reflected where I was emotionally in the group. She stayed with me just long enough to help me name a bit more of what I was feeling, and this time without pushing. And as the group continues, and if I was this participant, I feel like I'll be able to trust Stacy as a facilitator and know that no matter how much or how little I share, I will be heard.
Thank you, Niles. For me, I thought the right way was very good. Stacy asked clarifying questions. She remained curious. She explained how feelings can manifest in physical ways, the clenched jaw example, and she was validating. So that's the end of our role plays. As a team, the three of us, we brainstormed what good facilitation qualities and techniques look like in practice. We're going to share them with you. This is by no means an exhaustive list, just some ideas for you to consider. Okay, we'll start with me and then Niles and then you, Stacy, right? Okay, here we go. Lead with compassion. You hear me say it all the time. You can't have an agenda. There's no time frame. Everybody's healing looks different. And if you have expectations on how far they should be in their healing journey, you've lost them from the get.
Set expectations. Normalize nervousness early for participants. This lets them know that it's okay if they're a little anxious as they step into a new experience, and let them know it may get harder before it gets better.
Yeah, and let me just clarify something because we use the same word, but they have different meaning. My expectations were on performance, right? These expectations are in order to let participants understand what the process might look like. It might get harder before it gets easier. You know, emotions are going to come up. You can't go around them. You got to go through them kind of thing. So thank you for making that distinction, Niles and Stacy.
Give grace, grace, grace. This means leading with patience, compassion, and flexibility, meeting each participant where they are without judgment or urgency, and trusting the healing process to unfold in its own time.
Listening intentionally for understanding, remaining curious.
For me, I think a big thing that can help everyone, facilitator and the participants, is going over group ground rules again. It can be a subtle reminder to participants if you feel like you may be getting a little bit out of control or rules may be being broken. But also as a facilitator, it's just a light way that you feel like you can control the group without being too pushy or feeling aggressive.
And it's so important to know the difference between facilitating and fixing. Facilitating is creating a safe, supportive space that invites people to discover their own healing, while fixing is trying to rescue, rush, or solve something that isn't ours to control.
That's really good. Don't make assumptions. Don't think that you know what a participant is feeling or thinking or anything like that, because you could be wrong.
Healing is personal, but not the same for everyone. And when I say that, it's one of those things we talk about. Everyone heals at their own pace, and everyone has different experiences. So I think keeping that in mind will help your expectations as well as supporting clients.
And healing is not linear. It comes in waves of progress and pause. And every step, even the hard ones, is still part of moving forward.
Healing's not a one and done. I mean, I can't tell you how many abortion healing groups I've done, how much other work that I've done on myself to just become more professional or emotionally stable. So it's not a one and done. So as a facilitator, please have next steps for your participants. What are they going to go into next? What did you find out about them during the time that you spent together that you could say, hey, listen, I think you could really benefit from this. So have next steps.
Debrief with someone when things feel off or on, and you can learn from both situations.
Ask open, gentle questions by using what and how. They invite reflection and safety rather than why, which can feel intrusive or judgmental.
And the last one that we're going to leave you with is watch the nervous system, not just words. Notice signs of dysregulation like disassociation, agitation, shutdown, then slow the room and offer a gentle check-in by pausing and having the group take deep breaths. Well, that's a wrap, y'all. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.